It's Lori. Long cord hanging down the workstation, Lori. Late night Lori. Coming to you at midnight. We're going to pretend it's December 16th. I'm from Lori's Little Bit of Crafting, and I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the United States. And let me get my devices going here so I can see if anybody is joining me live. And there we go. Then I can follow along with the comments. When you pop in, let me know where you're joining from. We usually get some from around the globe. Finland and Germany and Australia, New Zealand, Canada, and across the United States. So welcome. Canada and across the United States. There we go. Get rid of that sound on that one. We will get going here in just a second. All right, very good. So I have not yet taken the time to find my new mini catalog that releases January 6th. I can show you when I put my hands on it. I can show you the front cover only, so you're not missing a whole lot at this point because I can't show you inside. Let's see, what other specials do we have going on? We've got a virtual card kit or a card retreat coming, and I will unbox all of those little goodies. And I wanted to remind you about last chance items. This fun bundle is currently on the last chance list. Excuse me. There are 23 dies with this set, and this stamp set has 36 stamps that are adorable. Make a whole lot of cute little images and combination of sentiments and everything. So I've had a lot of fun with this. I made a K-Cup caddy a while back in an autumn theme, so you might want to go back and check on that one if you like this set. But when I looked earlier today, the bundle is $47.50 as part of the last chance list, which means once they're gone, they're discontinued, right? The stamp set and the dies, if you buy them separately, are less expensive than the bundle, all right? So normally a bundle, you save 10% when you buy them together. When things go to the last chance list, a lot of times buying them individually is more economical, as is the case here, and it's a pretty big difference. So the stamp set on the last chance list is $20. The dies are marked down to $11.20. So that's a total of $31.20 instead of $47.50. That's a big difference, all right? So if you like this set and you're going to order it off the last chance list, don't buy the bundle, buy them individually, okay? But once they're gone, they're gone. They're not coming back, okay? I may, if I check again in the next couple of days, I may see if it's still available and make some more things so you have some ideas if you're not sure about getting this, but this is such a versatile set. What else can I say? I don't know that there's anything else I can say. I am not using this tonight, but I did come across it that it's on sale. So now's your chance to get that at a very reduced price. So the virtual card retreat, it's Paper Pumpkin subscription time for the new kit that's coming out in January that has a really fun coordinating box with the projects inside. There are add-on dies for that. Anytime is a good time to join my team so that you get a discount on all your supplies. And let's see, is there anything else that I can give an announcement on? Because all my little things are packed away because I had gals over. Was it yesterday? Yeah, I think it was yesterday, Monday. Yeah. So anyway, I had them over, I cleaned up some things, and I haven't uncleaned things yet. So let's go ahead and take a look at our virtual card retreat. Now, if you watch the Stampin' Up site or follow Sarah Douglas, she and Melody, I think Melody is with Concept Art, they did kind of an unboxing. They had everything out, but I'm just going to go quick over everything that comes in this because I think it's something that you might be interested in. So when you get your kit, the retreat is in US dollars $165, which sounds like a lot, but if you join, you can save at least 20%. If you have opted in for Stampin' Rewards, you will get 10% back to use towards future purchases. All right. And you're going to have access to the PDF instructions. You're going to have access to cutting directions. You're going to have access to the Facebook group where all of the things will happen. And the live videos will be downloaded and saved. So you will have access to them well after the event so that you can watch them on demand. All right. There are going to be 15 cards demonstrated, taught techniques, tips, that sort of thing over 2 days, January 22nd and 23rd. It goes from 2 p.m. to 2 p.m. to 9 p.m. Mountain Time. So my time, it'll be 3 to 10 p.m. So if you purchase this kit, if you are local to me, I have it on my calendar to do a watch party, but you have to let me know ahead of time if you're interested in doing that so that I can make the appropriate plans, because we'll be here for 7 hours and that's kind of a long time. So I want to plan for, snacks and that sort of thing. Okay. And if you're not local to me, you can still order this, obviously, because it's online. Okay. The virtual album retreat, I thought was a really good set of classes as well. That was 3 8-hour days. So this should be a pretty good set of classes too, if you will. The cards will be advanced or avid. They're not plain old stamp, ink, and paper cards. Okay, there'll be extra things in them. So let's start to go over this. So when you purchase the class, you will get in your kit this virtual card retreat card. It's got different languages in here. There's a QR code down at the bottom. You'll want to scan that so that you can get permission basically from Stampin' Up to get into the Facebook page. And what that will do is when you scan that code, or there's also the website down at the bottom to get into that Facebook group. When you get the screen up, you have to put in your name and your email address that you use to purchase it so that they can match that to your order number. There is no registration fee for the classes, but they have to be able to verify your purchase. So make sure you answer those questions. And I think it's just your name and your email address that you used to make the purchase. And then usually within like 24 hours, the approval goes through the admin side of Stampin' Up, and then you'll have access to all the things through the Facebook page. All right. So first thing, this is an exclusive stamp set for the card making retreat, just like with the album, the virtual album retreat. There were, I think, 141, or there were over 140 stamps that were included in the 2 stamp sets that were part of the album retreat. So this one has 15 stamps. This is exclusive. You will not be able to get this unless you order the retreat. Okay. This bundle, the Forever Florals stamp set, there's 11 dies. There are 14. There's this really neat full size. Hello, Susan from Melbourne. Ooh, very warm Melbourne. I wish I was there with you. I love the warm weather. Do you have a lot of humidity there? When it's hot by us, it's really humid. And how long before you get dinner? And what's for dinner tonight? How was your chicken? I think you had chicken last night, right? Anyway, I was talking about the virtual card retreat. So this die obviously is very intricate. There's an opening in the front. Stampin' Up! Is going to show us some different ways to use some of the dies. So I'm looking forward to that. But like I said, there's 14 dies in here. And this is like the size of a card front. Okay. And then there's some label pieces, foliage, flowers, cluster of flowers. You're on my mind and in my heart, always and forever, thinking of you. This is a pre-release access to these items. So I'm guessing they're either going to be in the new annual catalog that will be coming out in May, or it will be an upcoming online exclusive bundle. I'm not sure. We're going to use some flip-flaps. So I have 3 flip-flaps in my kit, and I've used a lot of my white ones. There's actually white. I think that's Pool Party or Balmy Blue. This looks like it's probably Garden Green, maybe Old Olive, because the colors aren't on here. I wish they would put the colors on the labels. And then this is Secret Sea. So these are flat dots. They're really cool. You get 15 envelopes because we're making 15 cards. You get a full pack of basic white cardstock because we'll be making card bases, obviously. And then there are 2 sheets, and I'm not going to slide these out of here all the way because I don't want them to fall out. But I don't know if you can tell, there are 2 sheets in here that have various cutouts, and I should look to see if they're 2 sheets of exactly the same or if they're different. They might be the same. They are. So there's 2 sheets, and there's shading on the back side for some of these pieces, probably so you can tell what's the front and what's the back. But there are some card fronts here. There are some banner pieces. It's probably hard to see, but these are all laser cut pieces. So we don't have to die cut anything. And then this paper is pretty. So you don't have a lot of humidity in Melbourne. See, when it's really warm here in the summer, so for us, that's, July, August are the worst ones. It gets really humid. So Queensland up northern Australia is humid. Oh, chicken salad last night. That sounds good. Not much tonight for dinner because he went out for Christmas lunch. How fun. Hello, Robert. How are you tonight? It's going good here. So we have 16 sheets. They're all different paper. These are one-sided, but I'll tell you why. All right. And as we go through them, I'm just going to show you all of the designs because they're very pretty. This is kind of a floral retreat. So if you're not into florals, you might not like this so much, but keep in mind that when you make these cards, it's not intended to decorate your craft room. They're intended to send out to other people who might love the florals. So keep that in mind. All right, so looks like we've got like some bubble bath, maybe some, I was going to say rich razzleberry, but that's not it. Blackberry bliss. Different tones of that maybe. But on the back, we have some cutting lines. Hopefully you can see that when the delay comes up on my, excuse me, when the delay comes up. Okay, so we can see a cut line here. Anytime you see scissors, whether it's a scrapbooking kit or these virtual retreats, either an album retreat or the card retreat, where you see the scissor emblem is the first cut. All right. And then you will see other cuts here and across here. And the numbers are printed on the back, so you know automatically what card it's going to go with. So this is going to be card number 3. And let me zoom in a little bit so maybe you can see the dashes and everything a little bit better. All right. So this will be for card 3. This will be for card 11. And then these 2 pieces are not labeled, so those will be extras. Hello, Yuta. Okay. So here's a black and white piece. It's not going to stay black and white. All right. Sarah and Melody, I think I was telling you, did like their unboxing, and they showed samples of each of the 15 cards that we're going to make. So that was pretty fun. This one has the cutting layout on the back as well. So if we're going to try to prep things ahead of time, Stampin' Up! Is actually going to do a video that will release about a week before the virtual card retreat. And they'll go through all of the cutting things. All right. So you may or may not need that. But if you do, just know that it's going to be about a week before the event. So don't look at that and think it's going to be there for you right away once you get admitted to the group. Okay. And please don't wait to purchase this on the day or the day before, because it takes time to get the Facebook group approval. So if you get it the day of or the day before, there might not be anybody available to go through and approve it so that you get access to all of the things. Okay. If you're not going to be able to watch it live, no worries. All right. You can purchase that whenever you want. So anyway, so here's a cut line here, here's a cut line, and then we've got some cut lines across. And again, we've got 3 for project 13. We've got 3 for project 8, and then we'll have some extra pieces. This is a nice little, looks like bubble bath, just grid work and cut lines. So all of these have the cut lines on the back. This looks like cloud cover, and it's almost like a woven design. Cut lines, again, there's one diagonal cut here, but that's clearly marked. This looks like it could be old olive or maybe some garden green. And cut lines, there's a bunch of little ones here. And then some bigger ones. And then this whole section here is going to be extra. Hello, Tanya. And this might be crumb cake. Maybe some basic beige in there. Maybe very vanilla. I don't see the colors listed on here, so that might be somewhere that I didn't see it yet. This paper is all exclusive though. As far as I remember, you will not be able to buy any of these papers after or outside of the virtual card retreat. All right. So again, this scissor icon shows where you should make your first cut. And then you can make your cut across, your cut down, your cuts across, down, across, and down. Okay. And then this again is going to be all extra. And then these last several pages are basically two-tone cardstock. Instead of being printed on the fronts and the backs, they're printed half and half. Okay. And let's see if I go this way. So they're printed half and half. This looks like, this is probably Darling Duckling. Cutting instructions on the back. Calypso Coral or Timid Tiger. Cutting instructions on the back. But you can see where you've got the true color and then the tint lighter. Okay. Cutting instructions. And maybe I'm zoomed in too close because you kind of get the idea. This is Berry Burst. Cutting instructions. Here's our bubble bath. And again, the darker color is the true color. And then you've got the lighter one is the tint. Okay. And then this is Secret Sea, I'm pretty certain. Cutting instructions. There's a lot of cutting on here. So you can see project 1, 5, 7, 6, 13, 9, and 6. Okay. This looks like cloud cover. Did we have another one like that? I don't remember. Oh no, that was a basket weave designer series paper. This one does not have any scissors for us, so it doesn't really matter. Just make sure you do your vertical lines first because the horizontal lines are at different measurements, okay? And this is probably our garden green or old olive. This is the first cut. There's cuts along each of the sides, and then the centerpiece will be left over. So you'll have light and dark. And then this is lemon lime twist. And this looks like crumb cake. All right. Because I think it's too light to be pumpkin pie. Or I mean pecan pie. Pecan pie. These are not recipes for disaster. The nice thing about having all of the cutting instructions on the back of these sheets of designer series paper is that it will share with you techniques for like cutting the scrapbooking kits. But it also just helps you organize those pieces for this so that you keep them straight and you're not using the wrong piece for the wrong card. All right. So that's everything we get in here, plus all the PDF instructions, plus all the Stampin' Up! In-person, virtually direction. All right. So that's our virtual card retreat. So let's go ahead and craft. Okay. I need to try to move this over maybe a little bit. Well, I'll leave it there. It's fine. I thought we would do kind of a simple card, but with a twist. Okay. We made this card a while back with the, what was this called? Peace on Earth is the stamp set. Let's see, Peaceful Garden. So this is with the Peaceful Garden. And I know somebody had said, and I don't remember who it was, that they had seen this Peaceful Garden in a lot of projects online. I wasn't aware of that because I don't watch other videos so much if they're not Stampin' Up! Ones. So we're not going to do another one in this paper. This is some old paper. I don't even remember what it was called, but it's from several years ago. But I had done just a coffee and a card. And I used up some of this old paper because it's just so gorgeous and you don't need a whole lot. All right. But we're going to do this with a little twist. So instead of horizontal, we're going to go vertical. And I saw this from, another demonstrator. It, I think, popped across, like, I get emails from Pinterest all the time and I just kind of look at the icons. So I saw it where it went vertically instead of horizontally. So I'm going to keep these off to the side here. And I think what we're going to do is use, whoops, a little avalanche. We're going to use this Elegant Pine Snowflakes because I'm getting down to a lot of just little scraps. Lots of little scraps, which will probably be perfect for this card. And I have just a couple of larger sheets, and I might want to save those for some scrapbooking pages. Like these two are the same, so I might want to save those for some scrapbooking pages. Actually, these three are the same. So let's set that aside. And I brought in Shaded Spruce and Garden Green. I also brought in Cherry Cobbler, but I don't know if we're going to use that. So let's just kind of take a look with the designer series paper and know that we need 3 strips. These were done with 4, but we're just going to need 3 strips because we're going vertically, so there's not as much width. All right. So what are the thoughts? Do we want the darker, the Shaded Spruce, or the lighter Garden Green? Because any of these would go with both. So this would go with both. That's a bigger piece that you can see would go with both. I really like this. This is Lost Lagoon. I could get a piece of Lost Lagoon too. I love those snowflakes. That would maybe work with the Lost Lagoon or Pretty Peacock. We've got some of these icy pieces. That would be Pretty Peacock there. So first off, I think we need to figure out what kind of base we want. That would be pretty too with maybe Pretty Peacock. Let me go grab a piece of Pretty Peacock and we'll see. Maybe that's one we'll use, huh? But I also had the shaded spruce ribbon. So I was kind of leaning toward the shaded spruce because we want a piece of ribbon across here as well. And I do have some real reds somewhere. I'm not sure where it went, but I have some real red. Or we have this little chevron piece too. We could probably use a couple layers of that if we were going to do with the garden green. Let me get some Pretty Peacock and Lost Lagoon. Okay, here's some Pretty Peacock. That's more the shaded spruce in there. That'll go better with that one. And that is not that color green. What color green is this? I wonder if that's an old olive. Let's look on the back of the package here. Shaded spruce, Yuta. Yeah, I think that's really pretty. Garden green, old olive. Maybe that's old olive. That looks odd for being old olive. Interesting. I may have to find some other colors and work with that. Shaded spruce works for me. So let's move these out of here. And I think if we do just some 1-inch strips and then a layer, and I'm thinking a layer of cherry cobbler will look nice, but we'll see. It might not. But I have cherry cobbler handy. So I'm going to cut that down right now. So we're going to go 5.5. And then I'm just going to cut it at 4. And save that. And then we'll put this down to 5.25. I didn't want both sections to be short. So let's make sure this is 8.5 by 5.5. We're going to go ahead and score at 4.25. Get my cutter out of the way. And then we'll go ahead and burnish this. And that layer will go there. We might cut that layer shorter though. Depends on how long we make these. So let's cut this down to 1 inch. And then, because we're going to end up putting the ribbon across here, so let's go ahead and cut that down so we can kind of get an idea. And I'm going to be generous with that because we're going to attach it to the back of that cherry cobbler layer. And then this will probably get cut off because we're going to put a sentiment on the green part. All right, so if this is going to go here, these are going to be pretty short. So let's go to about here. How long is that? So that's about 2 1/4 inches. Let's see how that looks. It's really stubby, but that's partly because we've got such that wide ribbon. I think we want it a little bit longer. Let's try 2 1/2. 2 1/2 might be a little bit better. And we might want those a little bit wider because I was thinking we might have to frame them, but they're already kind of framed by that cherry cobbler. So let's find another piece and do this a little wider. So what do we do? 2 1/2? I think the ribbon is like $8. I can look it up. It's gorgeous ribbon. It's got the gold on the side. It ties really nice too. It's very flexible. Makes beautiful bows. I usually use my bow maker because my fingers have little cracks in them. But you kind of get the idea. It makes really pretty bows. So let's take a look here. And find the number. Okay, it's $12. I misspoke. But if you're a demonstrator, it's less because you get a 20% discount and you get Stampin' Rewards, so you would get $1.20 back. But let's see, there's usually like several yards on here. So there's 10 yards. You get 10 yards of ribbon, which is a lot. I don't have any purple ribbon, but if you have a light enough ribbon, and use like, we don't have alcohol blends for our Gorgeous Grape, but we do have alcohol blends for like Berry Burst. What's the other one? Blackberry Bliss. That's a dark purple. You can use alcohol blends to color any of our light colored ribbons. All right, so we're going to put that there. I think we did 2 1/2. So let's do 2 1/2 by 1 1/4 wide and see how that looks. And that's going to go there. We could probably even do 1 3/4 inches. Yeah, Blackberry Bliss is one of my favorites. 1 1/4 inches, so 2 3/4 for the length. By 1 1/4 inches. So let's see how this looks. So 2 3/4 I think is a good length. So I just made all kinds of other scraps that I can use for like a patchwork. So this is 2 3/4 by 1 1/4 inches. And that will be framed nicely by that cherry cobbler. And now I just need to find a couple of other pieces that will go nicely with the shaded spruce. And that's more the Lost Lagoon, I think. So this has got shaded spruce in there, so we'll definitely use a piece that shows off more of that shaded spruce color. And we'll go 2 3/4 inch. So I'm going to take that little bit of white off of there. So this piece can go there. That'll be nicely framed, I think. And then one other piece. Let's find, I think that'll work good. Let's cut it and see. So I did see that Juju was able to see her son. She was so excited. So we might need to make those just a little narrower, maybe a 1/16 off of each one. I guess we'll go a 1/16, not an 1/8. So a 1/16 is just basically that brown edge that's on our trimmer track, because this next line takes it to an 1/8. We could probably zoom in a little bit for everybody, right? And then let's see if I can shift that a little bit. Hopefully that helps a little bit. Did I cut that down already? So 1 1/4, so yeah, that's 1/16 of an inch. And then we'll take this one down a 1/16 of an inch. This is what happens when you don't see the video or see if there's a tutorial. You just kind of cut until it looks how you want it to look, right? I've got the dark one in the middle just for balance, of course. I think that's good. So I've got these 1 1/16 inch wide by 2 3/4 inch long. And we're going to put our ribbon there, the shaded spruce with gold ribbon. And then we're going to take part of this cherry cobbler piece and we're going to cut it down. So I'm going to take off 1.5 inches. So this will be 4 inches by 3 3/4. So that's going to be up here. We can go ahead and attach those. And I'm going to start with the outer pieces first so that we can balance that middle one. And I'm just going to put like a 1/16 of an inch around there. That ought to work. I could scooch it in just a little bit. Sometimes we can scooch just a little bit with that glue before it quite sets all the way. We'll put this one on the far side. Hopefully that's straight, since I can't get my head right over the top of it to see. I think that looks pretty good. I've gotten better at getting things lined up even though I can't get my head over the top of them. And then here I'm just going to line up the top between those two pieces rather than from the bottom, because the bottom will be distracted by that ribbon if it's a little bit off, but they're pretty good. Alrighty. And then this is going to go here. And we're going to put the green ribbon right over that edge. I could cut this shorter so it looks like it's its own separate layer. But then part of the shaded spruce is going to show underneath. So if we did that, let's say we did something like this, then we're going to see that edge there. And to me, that just looks unfinished. What do you think? Should I conceal that cherry cobbler edge with the ribbon or cut it down so that we have that row of? No, I think what I want to do is I want to keep this on here because that's going to give me something to attach. Oh, I should have left it longer. Oh, it'll just fit on here. It just goes to the bottom of there because we want something to wrap that ribbon around with. So I don't know why I thought anything different could happen. Exactly, Yuta, how to attach the ribbon. See, sometimes I just don't think far enough ahead. Because I don't want a ragged edge right on our card base, do I? We'll put a little bit more in here. Good call. And then this I'm just going to pull up just a tad bit so that that edge isn't visible from the front. And then we'll go ahead and snip off these jagged edges here. I should have pinking shears. So Juju must have traveled with some crafting things because it seemed like she was live today because she talked about meeting up with her son. All right. So before I attach this, we're going to do our sentiment. And I think I want to do that in gold, whatever it's going to be. We're going to emboss. So here's my gold, embossing buddy, and our Versamark. And let's find a nice little sentiment. We could do the same sentiment that we did last night. Where did I put that card? It had wishing you peace and joy. We could put that here, but I was thinking larger letters. 'Tis the season could work. Peace, love, and joy might be nice. Die cut Merry Christmas, yes. We could actually put this one on. Do we want it in, this is real red, so we'd have to do it in cherry cobbler or the metallic gold. What do you think? That would certainly work because that's a better size, I think, for here. I have this taped down so I wouldn't lose the pieces. And we could actually put them closer together. I think that would be very nice. Or I could do it in the velvet. It will fit. I think it'll fit just fine because this can get scooched up just a little bit. We could do it in the velvet. I think the velvet would look nice because that velvet is really dark. And I could put adhesive sheet on the back of there before I die cut it. What do you think? the velvet or cherry cobbler, because those are pretty close. Yeah, I think it would look very elegant. I think the velvet, because of the gold trim on the ribbon, this is what I'm leaning towards. So let me find the words for the season. And we will pull out Merry Christmas. We will put the embossing things out of the way. And adhesive sheets. So these adhesive sheets can really be a lifesaver. We are going to probably, will it fit this way? Yes, it will. We can maximize the use of our paper. So that can go there. And then what I'm going to do is, I think I'll just start over here because I'm left-handed. We're going to just start cutting, and I'm going to use some bigger scissors just because it'll be more efficient. All right. This is going to look nice. And let's get this out of the way. And the velvet has a nice paper backing, so that's going to work really well if I can figure out what side the backing comes off of. And if you're not careful when you're removing that backing piece, you can peel off some of the adhesive. So usually if you kind of start out a little diagonally, you love the mistletoe on the card. Is that the, I'm not seeing the mistletoe. Are you seeing mistletoe? Because I see pine boughs, maybe that's mistletoe. Usually I see it in bunches, so it just didn't occur to me that that might be the mistletoe. I think you might be flirting a little bit, Robert. All right, let's open this up. Little Betsy to the rescue. And I think I need more super glue on the crack on my thumb because it still hurts. Usually when I put the super glue on, like this one, I put the super glue on and I hold the cracked skin closed and it seals it up really nice. And once the glue dries, it's like the pain goes away. Now the velvet is a little thicker, so it's a little more difficult to run through the machine, but it goes through just fine and it cuts very nice. So all this is cut really nice. Now the dot for Christmas is still in my die, so I'm going to make sure that I don't lose that. I ended up losing the pewter one from the other day when I cut these out in the gold and the pewter, or the tungsten I guess. I lost the eye for the Christmas in the tungsten color. These are kind of delicate, so I'm trying to make sure that I don't stretch them out at all. And we want Christmas out of here. This will look very elegant. And there's the dot for the eye. And that's everything out of there. And let's get these little inner pieces out of here we don't need. Nice choice of colors, Yuta. And anybody else that suggested this set of colors. I have not heard of that, Robert, but I am exclusive to Stampin' Up. Being a demonstrator, I am exclusive unless it's for a product that Stampin' Up doesn't sell. And that's just, I like their products. I like that everything's color coordinated and that I get a discount and that it gets shipped to my door. I don't have to go anywhere trying to find a bunch of things that match. All right, so let's go ahead and put this piece down. And I'm going to use a piece of tear and tape across here. Just because of the ribbon, the glue will kind of go through the fabric. And I'm just going to put another piece here. And that's going to kind of help hold that down even more. And then I'll put glue on the rest of this. Now I didn't burnish this ribbon or the tear tape down, so it might not come off as easy as if I had burnished it, but it lifts off still. Remind me not to lose the dot to that eye. There we go. And then last night with that card, that one that had the branching out pine boughs on it, I was going to put some rhinestones that I colored with the Cherry Cobbler alcohol blends, but I ended up using the streaked dots. It just looked prettier to me. So I'm just going to lay these out. And we could do offset Merry Christmas, or we could center it all. Let's see what it looks like centered. Centered or offset? I think either way looks okay. Offset might allow a little bit more space for that M though, because that C can only go down so far. I think I'm going to end up offsetting it so that that M has plenty of space. Executive decision. All right, so I'm going to leave the C there. And we're going to go ahead and peel off the backing here. Try not to use my thumb just because it hurts. But at least we made it a sticker and I don't have to worry about glue, right? So we're going to lay this right about there. And spread this out so it's pretty straight, hopefully. I think that T needs to come down a little bit, but that's kind of how the font is there. I think that works. And now let's go ahead and take the backing off of our letter C. And I'll leave the M there. We'll get the merry or the airy part down. And then we'll go ahead and put the dot on that I. I think that looks pretty good. Yuta, you were right. It looks pretty elegant from here. That backing layer is so thin. It's a challenge to get started. I think this needs to come down just a little bit. All right, let's find some gems and call it a day. Actually, some little snowflakes might be fun, but that might take away from the... We could put a few little snowflakes. There's a die for those. There's 2 of them. And then we could still put... Oh, there's a little bit bigger one. We could still put some gems on here too. Dot the I. Thank you, Yuta. This ought to be a hoot. Thanks for popping in, Robert. I need to get another take your pick tool, maybe. Good thing I own several. I feel like I'm doing like surgery here. This is where it would have been better if I didn't have the adhesive on the dot. I could have just used glue. But now if I try to just use glue and the velvet comes off, I'll just be left with that backing piece. So I think what I'm going to do is take another piece of velvet. I'm going to take the die and I'm just going to run it through. Hello, Lynn from Minnesota. Welcome. I don't think you've been with us before. How cold is it by you? I'm in Wisconsin. We were actually up. Use a gold pen to use the dot. Well, if I had a gold pen, I could do that. But I don't have a gold pen. So I'm going to make a velvet piece without the adhesive on it. Just by running a little corner through where the eye is. I could have used maybe a little glue dot and put some gold embossing powder on it. But all the other letters are red, so I'm not sure how that would have looked. All right, so let's get rid of that. And here's our dot. without any adhesive backing. So that's just the paper backing. So I'm going to leave that right there. I'm going to put a little dot of glue here. And I'm going to let that partially dry so that it gets translucent. And then we'll add that dot. And in the meantime, oh, I should leave this out if we're going to cut some of these little snowflakes. Now I just need to find, that's Delicate Pines, I think. Let's find Delicate Pines. Here we go. So let's see how these little snowflakes might look. Cut out, that might be cute. And I'm going to put this up here. I'm going to put Christmas over here so I don't lose it. It's on my magnet. And let's put these where I'm not going to poke myself. Oh, I need to leave that one there, don't I? All right, we got our dot kind of stuck on there. So you were at 35 degrees. We were definitely in the 30s. I think we were close to 40. I opened the curtains on my chicken coop though, and it was 40 degrees in there when I went out well after dark to check on my ladies. Let's put a little bit of washi tape on here since my bottom plate is a little warped. We'll hold that in place. Susan had the same temperature. Yeah, so hers was actually 95. Our Fahrenheit, she said about 95. Yeah, 35 Celsius, 95. That's coincidental, isn't it? Huh. All right, let's see how this looks. I think that might be kind of cute. Put a few of those little paper snowflakes on there, maybe with a bunch of Winkostella. Anybody else agree? You think that'll work? You had positive, or plus 11. I need to get a Celsius to Fahrenheit conversion chart. I just know 0 Celsius is 32 degrees for us, because that's freezing point. And then 100 is boiling in Celsius, right? And that would be 212 for us. 51 degrees, not bad. I'll take your word for it, Lynn. So Lynn, how did you find Late Night Lori and Lori's Little Bit of Crafting? Did it come up on your feed? Did you come over from somebody else's group? Have you subscribed? I go on every night between 11 and midnight, usually midnight. Oh, I popped up. Good. Glad to hear it. Hope you like the project. Now I need to find one other snowflake that'll fit this one. Maybe that's this. No, that's too big. I wonder if there isn't one for this one. Oh, where's Juju when you need fussy cutting done? Because this one's a little bit bigger. I do not see the die for this one. So I'm either just looking over it or overlooking it, or it does not exist, because this is a little bit bigger than those other two snowflakes. But to stay consistent with those smaller ones, I'm not going to do anything super intricate. I'm just doing the rounded edges. Maybe we want 3 of the ones that are die cut exactly the same. So what kind of crafting do you do? Is it actually Lynn, your first name? And is it spelled L-I-N? Thinking a little cluster. Does that work? All right, so you spell your name the long way. I used to always say that's the wrong way, but mine is spelled from the way they spelled it in my era when I was born. Lori in Minnesota. So is your middle name Lynn? All right, let's see. This is pretty translucent now. Can you see that? Where it's not white anymore, it's getting kind of clear. You've been stamping for decades. Do you use Stampin' Up stuff? Just curious. You know, a lot of people use a variety of things. And are you a demonstrator or a crafter? And I notice I didn't say just a crafter. And then I still think we need some shimmer somewhere. Do those 3 paper ones look all right? You own a variety of different company products. Nothing wrong with variety. You should get what you like, right? Absolutely get what you like. All right, decorative pines. I'm going to do a head count, make sure I have all of those before I put them that set away. And then let's get some rhinestones here. And my cherry cobbler. Thanks for stopping in, Yuta. I'm glad you liked the card. Thanks for the suggestions for what colors we should use. It's late in our neck of the woods, right? All right, we'll get those attached in just a second. Now, I guess I should take these out of the package. I can hear ice shifting outside, so it must still be relatively mild out. It's supposed to be mild for the next few days for us. I'm in southeastern Wisconsin, Lori. All right, let that alcohol set. And let's get some little dimensionals here. And we're going to put a couple here. All kind of near the top. And then I'm going to put a little bit of tear and tape near the bottom so that it sticks good to that fabric. Let's go ahead and, usually I'd grab my bone folder, but this works. Use what you've got handy, right? And I just put those dimensionals on it so that it'll sit up on top of that ribbon. And then let's use tear and tape for those because I want those to be a little bit flatter. And normally I would just tear the tear and tape, but because I want more of a controlled piece, because these are smaller, I'm going ahead to just cut them today. And I just like to burnish that on my paper so that the backing usually comes off a little bit easier. Well, maybe I could pop that up a little bit. We'll do that. And that dimensional will stick really well because it'll have tear and tape on it too. I think that works. And then let's see about getting Shirley Temple's daughter was named Lori in 1954. Yeah, I'm not quite that old. And I don't know when Lori stopped being the common spelling and when the different spellings started coming up. So we're going to do a couple of these here. I could have done a gem there, but I didn't want to take away from the more refined look of the words. So let's just put some of these berries here. And I think I'm going to color a few more because I made that a cluster. And maybe we'll do another cluster up there, so maybe 3 more. And these are a lighter color, so I'm not going to use those. And this is the dark cherry cobbler that I'm using for these. So are you normally a late night person, Lori? This is one of my take your pick tools that I've used for my class, and there's a lot of extra putty out here. You grew up in a Milwaukee suburb? Are you serious? I'm in Racine County. What suburb? Greenfield, Greendale, West Dallas, Hales Corners, Franklin, South Milwaukee. I worked in South Milwaukee for a while. I was a consultant for a collection agency, actually. What a small world. So what took you to Minnesota? Where was the collection agency I worked for? It was kind of in the heart of the, like the valley, Menominee Valley, down in there. All right, there's our card. I think that turned out pretty good. I didn't like the drive into Milwaukee. And I don't know, is the Memorial, the Menominee Valley actually considered South Milwaukee, or is that Milwaukee proper? I'm not even sure. I should probably know because I live not that far from there, but driving into Milwaukee is just a nuisance. Some of those highway interchanges now are just so crazy because there's so much traffic. Racine, Oak Creek, South Milwaukee, Cudahy. See, I'm out on the west end of Racine County. So I would take Highway 36 up and I go through like Muskego and then Franklin. And then into, I think, Greenfield is next. I'd have to look at a map. All right, words of the season, done. Put away. So when you lived in Milwaukee, you were along the lake. It's a beautiful lake. When I grew up, I was in the city of Racine. So, you know, not on the lake, but I worked downtown Racine and could see the lake. The lighthouse is in Wind Point, as a matter of fact. Racine County, but the village of Wind Point. Familiar with there. Do you remember the Weary Lights in Racine? Wind Point Lighthouse is a favorite spot of mine. The Weary Lights, they used to at Christmas time, and they were in North Bay, which is north of Wind Point. I think it's north of Wind Point, in that area, northern Racine, you know, north of City of Racine. But the Weary Lights, it was a family, and their last name was Weary, Wheary. So the Weary Lights, they always had this huge lighted display at Christmas. And I guess that is stuck really well. They had this huge lighted Christmas display, and they had a very large property. North Bay and Wind Point are pretty affluent areas, so the houses are very big. A lot of doctors and big executives live in that area. Oh, you forgot about that place, so you're familiar with it or not? You must be, if that kind of jogged your memory. But people would drive past there, you know, to see the lights, and the traffic would move at snail's pace, literally snail's pace, while people just oohed and awed at the lights. And they were beautiful. But then after the Wearies stopped doing it because it was a big deal. It was a really big deal. I don't remember the whole thing, if they just retired out of the area and they didn't do the lights anymore, but they had donated them to the Racine Zoo. And I think the Weary family had taken care of getting them installed at the Racine Zoo. So they look nice for the first year or so. I don't remember when it stopped looking nice. But I don't even know if they have them lit up anymore, because as lights go out and that, I don't think the Racine Zoo maintained them. But it used to really be gorgeous and a big deal. So here's our card. I think I'm done. I'm gonna put a little glue dot under that ribbon so this set of snowflakes doesn't bounce up. Make sure our letters are down there all the way. But I think it turned out to be a relatively nice card. So let's go ahead and try to sneak this under here. See if I can get that peeled off and keep it flat. Yeah, the Racine Zoo is a very good size. I think they charge now to get in. I lived on the north side of Racine for a while, and my kids and I used to go to the zoo somewhat regularly. I need to lift this up a little bit. But it was always a very nice zoo. I used to love to see the camels. Seems kind of strange now, but as I look back, it's like, oh yeah, I used to enjoy seeing the camels. There. I think that'll work. At least it won't lift off too much with that snowflake that's popped up. All right. Well, very nice reminiscing with you, Lori, from Minnesota now, formerly of Milwaukee. I hope you stop back again sometime. But I'm going to call it a night. We did this card, which is kind of a flip of these. You came in a little later, I think, or maybe you just were watching and didn't comment right away, but these were the inspiration. Basically, this one first, and then this one was using some old paper from my stash, and we made it go vertical instead of horizontal. This is still drooping a little bit. I'm probably going to have to play with that a little bit to get it to set up more where I want it. So we'll see. Maybe I'm the only one that will notice it. Who knows? Thank you, Lori. I appreciate that. I'm glad you like them. And hopefully you'll stop back sometime. Everybody who's still watching, thanks for hanging in there with us. Thanks for stopping by. I will post a picture of this, maybe these two. I've already maybe posted these in the past, and this one's old paper, but anyway, I will post this on my Facebook page too. In the near future, probably not right away today or tomorrow, but we'll see how things go. In the meantime, happy crafting. Good night, everybody.